to start a show. Let's get to the chat here.
It's professional production values.
It's exceedingly professional.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome to the weekly Strength Club Q&A. And when we say weekly, we mean somewhere in between 7 to 30 days.
Whenever we get there.
It's whenever we get there. Yeah, Chase is opening up a gym. I've been moving. Mick is wallowing in depression, in the deep depths of
Deep
depression.
depression. Yeah.
Yep.
Chase, how's the new gym going?
It's good. We're filling up. We're just kind of slowly kind of getting our name out there. It's just, again, the process of starting over into a new community all over again. That's just
So
the
your
hard thing.
official door's open, right? You cut the ribbon.
Yep, we have classes. I mean, we're running it. So if you're ever in the Quail Springs location, look us up. We're Starting Strength Quail Springs. That's basically like western or like kind of southwestern area of like Edmond. So like if you are ever in town or anyone's listening, please check us out. But again, like it's just like we're trying to impact the community. So we're trying to do like free woman sessions, free sessions learning how to squat, so that we're kind of getting our names out there. And then as soon as people actually see our product, they'll join.
They know what's up. How big
Yeah,
is this one as
exactly.
compared to yours now? How many platforms to platforms?
It's not as wide, but it's deeper. We have one more platform up there than versus down south, but it's pretty much even.
Okay, so your original gym is the south one, is what you're saying.
Yes.
The new
Yep.
gym is the north one. Cool dude
Yep.
is cool. Thanks for showing up, cool dude.
He's
Yeah.
100% of our viewers at the moment.
He's 100%. Yeah, he's the true G. Yeah, we don't show up for weeks on end, but cool dude is always there.
He's just waiting.
Yeah.
He's always waiting.
That's why it's cool.
Yeah,
He
I
has
think
computer.
a lot of the previous few streams that we've done, people, one of my clients and who also watches this messaged me, and he was like, "You need to schedule these earlier so people can see it on YouTube." Because before I was just scheduling like an hour in advance,
Mhm.
and then we saw this. We're gonna try to stay on top of this.
You mean actually be like productive and do this?
Yes, and being
Be
productive.
organized.
I'm not. Yeah, so this is the last move. This is the last move for 9 months, guys. For 9 fucking months.
All right.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of pressure now you put on yourself.
Yeah, I know. Everybody, I've relocated to North Carolina, so I suppose if you're in North Carolina, hit me up. I'm in Fayetteville.
Sounds like a lovely place as well from what you were telling us off air.
It is indeed a lovely place.
You want
Yes,
to tell us some of the highlights of Fayetteville?
there seem to be some quote no-go zones that are just kind of are understood. Where it's, for a gentleman like myself who likes to wear polo shirts and khakis, it's not a good place to go. It's not a good place to go.
Do people like jandals over there? Do you guys have jandals?
I have no idea what those are, Mick.
They're like those.
You mean like the Jesus 9000s? You mean
Well, it could be. It's like you call
like
them
the Birkenstocks?
No, they're flip flops, but they have like the straps around your ankle.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking
We
about.
call them jandals over here.
No, man, like I think that was a few years ago. Now everyone's big into like the Birkenstocks, where it's like literally just like it almost looks like a slide, but like it's all made of like handcraft, camel
It's
leather.
a
or some
croc made out of
weird
leather,
shit.
basically.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of. Speaking of which, I just got a new pair of boots. I may do a boot review. I'm not going to do this, but I may. I got a new pair of boots from South Africa, from a South African safari and forest preserve company. They're great.
Are
Chase,
they made
if you
out of
need-
elephant
What's
leather?
the
or
what's the
something?
leather? Yeah, what's the
So
hide
they
on
had
it?
What
one
rare
that was
animal?
they had one that was more expensive that was made out of buffalo leather, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, do I want a fucking buffalo one? But I just
Oh,
got
of
the normal.
course.
I got the normal cow. The buffalo one.
That's fine.
it-
You get that
it's-
anywhere.
dude.
Get that around the corner.
It seemed harder to maintain. They were like, you have to maintain this correctly to keep that. And I
Yeah.
was like, I want the lowest maintenance one. Shout out to Jim Green Iron Rangers, or African Rangers, excuse me.
Well, we're doing shout outs now, are we? All right.
We're doing shout outs to
He's a
to
sponsor
random.
of this
Yeah,
channel.
what percent off? Can I get myself a pair of alligator boots, please?
Yeah, we're doing shout outs to South African.
I want some illegal shit, man. I want some white rhino fucking leather.
White rhinos.
Made out of ivory tips.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We got an offer for sponsorship from Manscaped a while back.
I do remember that. I think
No,
that was
they
our
were gonna-
biggest mistake.
Oh yeah,
Not actually.
we should have taken the products that they offered us. They offered us
Yeah.
a free shaver each.
Yeah, because you want to know
Cool.
what happened is that my shaver just broke before the way down here. Actually,
Really?
yeah, I was
You use
shaving
the
my
same
face.
one on your face as downstairs as well?
Absolutely, the same one on my armpits and my legs.
Don't you ever get nicks down there though?
Absolutely everywhere.
See, this should be the ad for Manscaped. We could have totally
This
done
could
it.
be the
This
ad.
is we just straight into it.
Yeah, but no, I tried to. At mission accomplished. I showed you my face, and I tried to turn it off, and it would not shut off. So it was just vibrating in my bathroom for like 4 or 5 hours. I just threw it in my
Damn.
hamper, and it was just buzzing along. Um,
Mm.
okay, what have we covered so far? I've moved to North Carolina. Chase has opened up a new gym. Chase, what's the coaching situation at the new gym and now at the old gym?
So right now, currently, we have 3 coaches:
Okay,
me, Phoebe,
Chase,
and one of
Phoebe,
yep, and then our apprentice Greg.
Greg.
Right now, Phoebe's pretty much landlocked in the south location.
Mm-hmm.
Greg is landlocked in the north location, and I kind of fluctuate back and forth. But again, like if we have time throughout our schedules, like Phoebe will kind of go up there like on a Saturday to help out with like open houses and stuff like that. And then if I have time available in the week, I'm going to go up there and again help out with intros or anything that we got going on there.
Nice. Okay, so you're basically doing all of the bigger classes. You're just going to be at those ones, more or less.
Yeah, like I'm still doing my evening classes on Monday,
You're doing
Wednesday,
the
and Friday.
evening.
Well, really Monday through Friday
Okay.
here down south. But like again, if Greg is running class and he has like 2 people or 3 people in a class, and then an
Mhm.
intro signs up, we want people to really focus on the intro with just like a one-on-one type thing.
Right.
So that way, like they feel comfortable at the gym. All the information is really being absorbed instead of like their time is being pulled away with other clients and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. When is Greg? When is Greg trying to platform it up? When is he trying to do
Pretty
that?
soon, like he's getting there. He's having some hard times with a few things that we're kind of just we're trying to drill into his head, but he's for the most part he's pretty damn good.
Uh,
Yeah, man, this is awesome. Like, yeah, gee, like if you just want to come down and hang out with us and actually coach a little bit, yeah, sure, I don't give a fuck. Like right now, we literally have like an open door policy of like apprentices wanting to come in. Like we will literally take a fucking crack at it if we have to at this point.
yeah, G-Lock. He's a heroin guy. So,
Well,
I wonder how many hours away Doug's from Mexico, huh? Yeah, I got to come down to. I'll try to moonlight at Oklahoma. I'll just
nice.
drive between Oklahoma and North Carolina. I'll do one class, drive back.
Hell yeah.
That'll be the plan. I've picked up some new clients recently.
Mm-hmm.
All of them have had terrible upper back positioning on everything, really. These people know how to extend their lower backs for some reason, completely unable to keep a good upper back and rack position in the squat.
Are they skinnier dudes?
Oh, just absolute twinks.
Nice.
Just crazy. There you
Yeah,
go. Mick perked up for that one.
I was totally zoned out. I was like, "Oh, twins."
Yeah, I'd say the most egregious one. He was cross country runner. He did middle distance and cross country in college. He was a college track athlete. So just like as thin as his torso is about as thin as my forearm is. I think if you how there's kind of like the comparative anatomy, it'll be like the rib cage of like a gorilla and then the rib cage of a normal man.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it would look like, but with like Mick and then this guy. He makes
Holy
Mick
fuck.
look big.
That's what I need for my
it's weird as hell.
selfies.
So he has
Yeah.
like hollow bones and shit like that because of his running.
Yeah, that may be it. Actually, he may just
Yeah,
have
his shin splints.
tiny bird bones. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about upper back extension in the squat, how the hell to manage it, why it's important. I personally think that the upper back positioning and then the grip for the squat, I don't want to say it cascades almost all problems, but I would say it dictates most issues on the squat. Or at least it's present if there's any other issues. Chase, just thinking about upper back positioning, how important do you think it actually is in the squat?
To kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, so like how it kind of creates some like waterfall effects. Like so, if someone has the bar not in the proper position, let's say like they're kind of halfway between like a high bar or even like a low bar positioning, like they're just bouncing around on the spine of the scapula. That's an unstable balance point, and if a person can't balance the load over that aspect and over the middle of the foot, they're just gonna have a hard time squatting. So their knees are gonna go this way, they're gonna go that way. He's not going to be able to lean over enough, get back into the hips, and actually utilize hip drive out of the bottom. So it's some pretty big issues with not having the right bar position on the back regarding like the diagnostic angles of like the knees and the hips and the back. And then from there too, like you're developing some tendonitis more than likely with just having a very unstable position, rolling back in the wrist, rolling back to where your elbows are more underneath the load, developing some tendonitis on the medial aspect. A bunch of shit that you do not want with the squat and that can be easily avoided by upper grip.
Yeah. Okay, so how often are you seeing, just as an accessory question to this,
Mhm.
how often do you see people having, let's say, a good or proper grip on the bar, as in like, the hands are in the correct position, it's sufficiently tight, but also people hunched over and shoving their head forward? Is that common, or are they almost always together?
Man, out of like 10 people, I'll usually see maybe one or two that actually can get into a good bar, low bar position and actually hang on to it and produce good thoracic extension. The rest of the 8 people in that scenario, it's yeah, they can maybe either get into the right position, but they have a shitty time with the thoracic extension or their head placement's wonky, or two, like they can't get into the low bar position, but maybe can somewhat hang on to the thoracic extension. It's just kind
Yeah.
of a double edged sword on that one.
I would say almost more than anything, like a lot of people think that depth, they'll think mobility is restrictive around the hips or around the knees. They'll have a hard time actually getting to depth. That's
Hmm.
normally a strength issue,
Yep.
like if you're just not strong enough to hold yourself into a deep squat. But for most people, the thing that is actually restrictive or needs to be cultivated over time is the ability to hold a bar on your back in that correct position and get thoracic extension. So it's just like a lot of times you'll be able to get a lot of people doing a great body weight squat where they'll be at depth, kind of correct torso angle, and then once their hands have to kind of crank back there, everything starts going to shit. So we're going to watch a bunch of videos about this. There's a ton of squats on the Starting Strength subreddit, and we have 3 or 4 to get through from our videos. Mick, can you go to the next slide? Let's see what we got on the slides, on the slide docket. Mick has to close illicit websites that he was on.
I was pretty careful about that before I started.
yeah. Don't share your screen, Okay, here we go. All right, so we have Chase Lindley at Chase Lindley. That's his Instagram. Has anything going up on your Instagram recently,
Dude,
Chase?
no, I've been overtrained for about a month now, so I'm slowly starting to get back into like actual training. So I haven't been doing shit.
So you
Okay,
took the
so we
month
need to
off,
talk
did
about
you?
Chase's overtraining.
What's up?
What happened? You said you've been overtraining.
Yep. So this was after the meet. I really didn't take enough time. So what my meet was like early April, and I went straight back into training because I felt great. I was a dumbass there, and I probably pushed it for about 2 weeks after that, real hard. And then at that time, I was at the seminar, and I remember hitting some heavy ass lifts on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, I felt like shit. Like I could just not recover. No matter how much sleep, which there's really no sleep during the seminar, and how much I ate, just didn't do shit. And then Monday, I tried to really hit like some heavy snatches, and nothing went. I'm like, what the fuck happened? And just just the typical signs of being overtrained. Like I was insatiably hungry, but I couldn't sleep. And whenever I was asleep, like I would sleep like throughout most of the day or try to. Like it was terrible.
Interesting. Are you sure you just didn't have like a light cold or a
No, like
flu that you didn't know
for a
about?
second there, I thought it was like low T, and I'm like, well, let me check this, and then
My testicle.
I don't know, dude. Like, I was kind of just like, man, maybe this is the time, because I've heard from other coaches like who've trained a long time, like, they kind of start hitting a wall here, like in their upper 20s and shit. I'm like, well, goddamn, maybe like I've hit it already.
What
'Cause
is
I've
he
been
testing?
training for a
So you
while.
actually test it?
No, I didn't. I went with the route of just like, okay, let's strip everything down that is stressful. Like my schedule was changing at the gyms, having another gym. So it was probably a lot of other external stresses too. So once I kind of managed stress there, man, I just went on like a bunch of walks, slowly started integrating more stressful stuff that I could control at the gym. So like one day I would just squat and that's it. One day I would just do snatches. One day I do, just pick an exercise and I would do it. And then now, like these past few weeks, I'm actually starting to ramp up the exercises in terms of load. And then I'm actually pairing it with other exercises too. So like I'm doing 3 to 2 exercises per session now.
Okay, so unplanned deload, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it just kind of demanded it from you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll know I'm very overtrained, just like Chase was saying. Like if sleep quality, like if I'm just getting wrecked at practice continually,
Yeah.
I just won't be able to sleep. Even if I'm in bed for 8 hours, it just feels like I was awake almost the entire time. Everyone has different markers for that, so that's important to pay attention to.
Is yours?
Okay, so when do you think
have you ever experienced any like mental shit with that, Alex? Like mine's a lot of mental too, or it's just like
I've gotten to the point. I mean, in college prepping for collegiate nationals, I had to the point where like basic cognitive tasks, like if someone asked me an addition or multiplication question, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
It was like it wasn't like I was concussed, but just I had this constant brain fog.
Yes. Yep.
Like my skin would just kind of hurt. Like if I picked up like a piece of paper or a pen, I would just feel like just pain sensation like in my fingers
Damn,
from
I've
picking
never had
anything
that
up.
one, but
Yeah, if you brutally wreck yourself with it, because at that point I was probably doing 11 or 12 practices a week, and then also
your
lifting.
central nervous system is fried.
And just everything about it
Yeah.
was just like my libido was like totally gone. I think that's the only time that's ever happened. Really, even other times I've returned, that was the worst.
Yeah.
Like libido was totally gone. I could absolutely never eat enough. It didn't feel like I was sleeping. My skin hurt all the time. Breathing was just didn't feel really good. It felt like my breathing was just kind of closed off, but it could never really open up. Yeah, like you can really,
You really
fuck yourself
Yeah,
up.
you can.
Today I learned I've been
Yeah.
overtrained for the last 20 years.
Like,
I was like, wow. It's like you just listed off all my symptoms.
you know what? I think it just kind of, you just go full circle kind of, or maybe horseshoe theory. You just go back to being out of shape is what happens. It just feels like you're yeah, you just get so overtrained that you feel like you're out of shape and you suck.
Yep.
That's what happens. Yeah.
So what's the next goal, Chase? Question from G-Lock.
Now it's just getting back into shape, and I'm probably going to do another like local meet before trying to do a national meet at the end of the year. So I think like the next meet will probably be around like maybe August, September, somewhere around there.
Okay, that's a really good rallying time.
Yeah,
kind of August into December for nationals.
Getting on the gear as well. Is that?
Fuck, I wish. Yeah, I wish this was Bulgaria where I could just do that shit and like
Can't you just nip down to Mexico for a day or two? And
no, like the drug tests here are, from what I've heard, pretty
you actually get drug tested at this comp, do you?
Yeah, on the nationals you will.
What's the nationals for what?
So like it's all like a tier system. So you have like a local meet. Now I've hit a qualifying total for a national, and like if I do really good at the national, I'll get looked at for like maybe doing like representing the America for like Pan Am's maybe 1 year or some shit like that. Yeah, but like I would have to be really fucking good, and I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked. But I'm gonna try to like pull some shit out of my ass here, but we'll see.
A lot of ass related concepts for this. Okay, Mick, we have keto.net. It's the official strength club.
Oh yeah,
music.
baby.
Hit
it up.
Everybody try to click. If you're watching on YouTube, try to click on that link through the YouTube player just to pause and unpause the video continually. Just try to click on it through the video. Yes, that's basically it. We have Bree dead inside quote. We have Mark, you're thinking too hard about this. All right, next slide, Mike. All right, let's do this one. Here are the points that I would like to run through. Low bar position defined. What definition do we use for the proper low bar squat, Chase?
So the low bar position, we define that as being right below the spine of the scapula. So you can palpate this on yourself. So if you follow like the edge of like your shirt seam here and then go a little bit farther back, you'll kind of hit this bone right here. And then just below that bone, that's your posterior delt where the bar will actually rest on.
Mick, can you go to the next slide real quick as well? Yep. Okay. Next again. This is the scapula. This thing at the top right of the image, that's the thing that Chase is asking you to touch. And it doesn't sit at that angle. It's normally not that tilted up all the time. And then go to the next one, Mick. See how it's a little bit more flat? This is the upper back on a dude. So you see how it almost levels off a little bit? So when you're reaching across, don't reach backwards, like you're trying to reach behind your head with the same side. When you reach across your body, the one on the opposite side will be a little bit more flat, and then that's what you can feel. A lot of people, for some reason, have a hard time visualizing this. And then go back up two, Mick.
Back what?
Up two slides. Up one more. You're going down.
Why don't you say left or right? Back. That's easier. Back. Okay, that makes more sense than up.
They do terrible things in Australia. Go back one more.
Up or down? Who's going up or down?
We'll talk about this later, maybe. I think I can make a firm argument that it's up or down.
I don't know. We should do a poll.
All right. Chase, do you recognize this gentleman? Who is
that? Is Michael Monfort, and this is at Wichita Falls.
Amazing forearms. Yeah. Look at this guy's forearms.
Dude, this guy, he has some serious guns, man. Like his upper body anatomy, very nice.
What about his lower body anatomy?
I haven't seen that. You'll have to
Mm.
ask his wife.
Probably trash. Absolute
No.
trash. Okay, so what's going on with this grip here? Is this good? Is this bad, Chase?
Yeah. So if we can, if you were like to really zoom in on this, like with your own personal camera, or whatever you got, so you can see like this bunched up shelf that the bar is resting on, and then you have like the traps just above that. So like whenever people, or you were saying, Alex, whenever people reach back to try to touch that spine of the scapula, yeah, that's buried underneath this wad of trap underneath. So that's why you have to reach on the lateral aspect. But again, we have the posterior delt and all like the rhomboid and all the back musculature kind of bunching up to make this shelf. So the reason why we want this low bar position is that this is the most stable position that we can put it on. If we go any lower than this, the bar would literally like rest on like the bottom of the delt there, or like on like the side of the tricep. And man, this would be no fun for Michael here trying to squat. And then two, like we can't
Mhm.
really see any other shelf structure or any other anatomy that they could possibly rest it on, except for like if you were to move it down to his tailbone and do maybe like a belt hip squat or some goofy shit like that, right? But
Yeah, the choices are pretty slim.
yeah,
There's two organic spots.
yep.
We got right on top of the posterior delts. We got right on top of the traps, but we don't like the bar crushing into the neck. Okay, and then go back or up one more slide, Mick, please. Okay, here we go.
That makes no sense.
All right, we'll figure it out. So the primary reason that the upper back position is important is because of the torso angle. If you try to keep an incredibly vertical back angle or torso angle in the squat, if your upper back is super tight or if your upper back is really extended, it almost doesn't matter as much because of the fact that you're trying to stay this vertical, right? So it doesn't matter. But for the proper low bar squat, we're arguing that when you use the hips more, and that means that we need to lean back more. And then when we lean back more, we're calling the upper back integrity into question, right?
Mhm.
And if it sucks, it rounds off, and then your squat sucks. And that's kind of what happens when you do the more good morning squat. When your upper back extension is good, you get clear hip drive out of the bottom, and it's beautiful. It's perfect squat. So we're doing the low bar. It needs more of a horizontal torso angle. That horizontal torso angle, it demands better upper back extension. Do we consider this part of the arguments with like muscle mass criteria, Chase,
I would. I
for
mean,
like adding more?
so our let's kind of backtrack. So our three criteria is the most weight possible, the most muscle mass possible, over the greatest effective range of motion. So with like the greatest effective range of motion, like a high bar, a front squat, a low bar squat, that all satisfies it with, the hip crease being below the top of the knee. Every single squat can be calculated and quantified by that positioning. With the most weight possible, not so much. You're gonna back squat more than what you can typically high bar and front squat. But the more important reason why you can use more weight is that you're, like what Alex was saying, utilizing more of the posterior chain musculature, of the spinal rectus, the upper back, the glutes, the hamstrings, all that stuff in the posterior chain, and utilizing that to now come up out of the bottom.
Okay, I'm trying to pull up some squats here that we can use.
Have we got any in the from the actual form checks?
Yes, but they're not good for this specific thing. We'll get to them in a second. Mick. Don't worry. Okay. We're watching. Who is this? Majestic Caveman Squad. Everybody.
Nice.
To see about upper back positioning. So we're gonna look at a bunch of examples of this and then see, hey, how is this upper back positioning? Can you see this better now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let me know what you think, Chase, about upper back positioning.
So for the most part, this looks pretty dang good. Like what you can typically see whenever people are kind of suffering with, flexion of the upper back or the thoracic spine is that the end of the barbell will kind of dip up and down instead of just traveling this nice smooth slot. And then two, like the elbows will either crank up or crank down. The bunched upness of the delt will kind of lose its shape. Those are kind of the telltale signs of this person's fucking up the upper back with the squat.
Okay, and then this brings into kind of question your point. We're not seeing the bar dip forward at the bottom. This is a freeze frame, by the way. Can you guys see this in full screen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, perfect. So he's not dipping forward, which is good. He's like at depth or slightly below depth. I think kind of more. He has some thick thighs on him, so he's kind of at depth right now. However, to get his upper back tight, he had to collapse his wrists in Chase. What are your thoughts on this? Is this okay?
As long as the lifter isn't going like, "Ow, fuck, my wrist hurt," I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like this guy's he's a burly dude. He's a big, strong caveman guy. So his flexibility is going to suffer a little bit, but I don't want him suffering to the point where it's causing pain. I'm okay with a bunch of wrist extension if he can manage that, in order to keep this positioning of the delt secure, the humerus in line with his torso as he squats, all that stuff, because those are bigger issues if we let those kind of go astray.
Right. Yeah. So the upper back, the wrist position is subservient or a secondary
Mhm.
to the actual upper back extension. Like we care about the upper back extension. Typically, the wrists or straight wrists facilitate that.
Yep.
Now we'll compare this with someone who was trying to keep their wrists really straight. This is another incredibly thin guy.
I thought you were going to mention the
and-
the cable thing he's got in the background. Alex, can't believe you missed that.
Oh,
Yeah, his
this thing?
cables in the
This fucking
no. Go the sort of top right. There's like a little cable extension. He's got cables up against the wall. Yeah, there you go. I'm surprised you
Okay.
missed
Oh
those.
yeah.
Yeah, this is there's a lot of little things going on here. I'm not entirely sure what. I don't know what this is. This looks like a roll of tape suspended by fishing
This is
wire.
plumb
I
bob.
don't know what. Yeah, I guess he could be
What?
trying to set things
It's a plumb
to set
bob.
things to
What the
plumb.
hell's a plumb bob?
Man, you need to brush up on your
You don't have
physics.
plumb bobs?
I've
in,
never heard of a plumb bob. Gushers and plumb bobs. This is all new to me.
Oh yeah, Chase. Before you got on, we taught Mick what a gusher was. The candy. Do you remember gusher?
Yeah, you never had a fruit gusher?
No,
He's
no,
never
not in
had
my
a
mouth.
Jesus, dude, y'all are so fucked up down in Australia.
Okay, so Chase, do you know this quote that this guy's saying in the back? Hold on, I'll
What does it
pause.
say?
We have
Results?
results or he said it probably says you can have results or excuses, but not both. Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then it's Arnold sick pipe here. Okay.
Sweet.
So we have this gentleman. He seems to be squatting $135. He's very thin. How do you feel about this back extension, Chase? Is this someone focusing too much on it?
Yes, and you can kind of see too whenever someone's really hyper focused on this is that now out of the bottom, like the bar speed is going to really slow down. So he's trying to secure, his wrist in a proper position. He's focused on his elbows, basically just everything to do with the upper back positioning. But now it's negating the hip drive out of the bottom, and it's making the lift heavier. So like right there, as soon as he started cranking his chest, the bar is slowing down.
This right here.
Yep.
He's almost peeling his chest back. If you see like independent head movement backwards, that's a really good telltale sign of it. Right there. I'll play it one more time.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so we have multiple directions to compromise. The caveman, he was really narrow in his grip. He was leaning over a good bit, had good upper back extension, but his wrists were super collapsed. This guy, he seems to be focusing more on kind of keeping the elbows up and the wrists a little bit more straight, but this is coming at the cost of hip drive and then a little bit of overextension in the back. How would you change these? What would be kind of your cue order to fix this, Chase?
If I had this guy on the platform, I would see if like this is actually in the proper position, because this seems like maybe it's a little bit too high.
It seems high.
Yeah. So if we
Yeah.
could inch it down a little bit, and then two, I wouldn't even really worry about the wrist position, or just kind of get him to understand that, and then more focused
Mhm.
on allowing him to push his nipples down into the floor and keep them there as he's standing up. And again, like if we have the proper bar position, this is going to be an easier time for him to understand that. But if the thing is just kind of rolling up and he's fighting that by cranking up his chest to get it back into a position that he can handle, we're not gonna have a fun time if he keeps doing that.
Okay, that's a good transition there, because we have Nate Sonv here, who submitted a form check from the app, and then we're gonna check out his squat. Can you see this, Chase?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. All right, there's a lot of
Let's say,
stuff.
he already did it.
How long is this video?
This is 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's like I guess 40 seconds to the squat, and then he squats. So we have now a guy who's squatting a little bit high.
Mhm.
Okay. Depth seems to be an issue. Very inflexible shoulders, but the bar seems low or in the correct spot. He just kind of has that old guy back,
Yeah.
where it's not very muscular. It's just kind of a big mound or hump.
Yep. I mean, a better way to
How
even
do you
to phrase this is like,
deal with these?
"What's up?"
Go on. What were you gonna
I'll
say?
say like a better way to even kind of see that, like, so that way, like, if people are, are really keen on like making sure this is in the proper bar position, like with a guy like this who's kind of an older guy, or even a gal who's like this, as long as the bar is in a stable position, I'm okay with. Because again, if the thing is disrupting the balance in the squat, it's going to make the lift just almost undoable. So like right here, even though he has a kyphosis or like a rounded upper back, the bar is in a stable position to where it's not fucking up his balance position. Now, again, like he's not hitting depth, and that's another thing that we have to worry about later with different cues. But if we can get the bar stable in his back, that is half the battle.
And when we say stable, do you mean not rolling?
Exactly.
Basically?
Exactly.
Okay. And his wrists are bent under the bar here. It's a kind of a close context clue that we're seeing from the forearm angle.
Mhm.
It's hard to see on video. So we have someone whose wrists are bent, bar's pretty in the fingers. And what we want to think about is like, is this guy going to be able to extend his upper back very well? Not at all. This is why you start lifting weights when you're young and not when you're old. He
Mhm.
can't extend his upper back too great. Not a lot of definition on the upper back. Just kind of has that mounted position. So we had to kind of go, all right, what's the second best thing we could ask for? That's going to be the bar position being stable in general, so not rolling, like Chase said. And then it allows for the other things that we care about, right? So
Mhm.
does it allow for hip drive? Does it allow for depth? Do you think this bar position is good enough, Chase, or would you change this?
I do for the most part. I think he has the pins too high, and I think he may be kind of a little bit too concerned about touching them
Yeah.
for the depth. But again, like you were saying, like look at the back angle here. Like the back angle isn't changing like how we saw with the other guy. Like he's not jacking up his shoulders out of the bottom.
Right.
He literally looks like there is a chain hooked up to his tailbone and someone was yanking it. So that the back angle is remaining constant on the way down and up, and that's what I'm asking for.
SSB bar is going to be an option for people with messed up shoulders. Yeah, whenever I fuck up my shoulders or neck at practice, I immediately just pull out the safety bar. I don't even try to low bar if it coming off a shoulder or a neck injury. The safety bar, it's great. It's kind of, I think it should be a must-have tool for everybody. All right, we're gonna find another video. Do you guys want to see my new Twinkie client?
Yep. I was gonna make a joke.
Chase.
I wanted to make a joke whenever Mick was kind of thumbing through like the anatomy of like the dude with the skeleton. I was like, "Oh, is that your new client?"
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. Dude, I was
Is
I
he
was
this guy, I
this
think-
thing is
okay
way
with
more
this video?
emaciated.
Yeah, so this guy, I think he's decently tall. I think he's 6 or 6'1", and I think he
Is
is
that
as of
decently
right
tall?
now.
That's
I mean, for me, the prince of the manlets, man. I'm fucking 5'10" on a good day.
He's 3 inches taller than you.
That's a lot of inches, man. So he's 3 inches taller than me, the prince of the manlets,
Yeah.
and I think he weighs about like $135 to $140 right now.
God.
Chase, when was the last time you were 140 pounds? How old were you when you were
3.
140?
Dude, I don't know. Like, yeah, I was
Was it probably when you were like 11 or 12?
Yeah, I was probably like either like late elementary or like junior high.
Amazing. Okay, so we're a few squatting sessions deeper, but this is just a good angle for this is what's going on. So we have someone who's really concerned about the bar not rolling on his back. We kind of have, I wanted to show these in this order because we have two very separate things. The last guy, Nate Sands, he had kind of no available definition on his upper back. It's that old guy mound. This is someone who just has like no tissue on their upper back whatsoever.
Yep.
So it presents a different set of problems. Chase, whenever you get someone like this in the gym, how do you manage that upper back position?
Dude, it fucking sucks because this guy, the only thing that he's thinking about right now is fuck this hurts, I don't want to squat.
Right.
Because it's just like what you were saying, there's no tissue. It's just all bone on bar, and it's uncomfortable as shit. Typically, like I see this a lot with like kids and stuff. So, what I kind of do is just get them as bunched up as possible to where like their hands are almost right next to like their delts, or even really petite women are kind of like that. That way, the delts are bunched up as much as possible, but at the same time, the hands here, like how this guy is squatting, is now used as another delt in a way, right? It's contributing to the shelf that he's trying to create. But again, until this guy eats, like he's gonna have a hard time just hanging on to the bar.
This is why I think for people who are very underweight, there may be like a pre-NLP where it's just like rear delt flies and deadlifts. That's it.
Just
Once
fucking
you have
inject him with
gained, like,
synthol on the fucking delts, man. Until
yeah,
everything else.
once you have
catches
gained
up.
like half a pound of tissue on your upper back, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is rough because, you know, and this kind of it goes back to what you were saying earlier with kind of like the cascade of problems, waterfall problems, whatever. Sometimes the upper back position can be so annoying and so present in the lifter's mind that it causes a bunch of issues elsewhere. And then you see this, and then we kind of have the solutions that Chase was talking about, moving the shoulders in. Granted, their shoulders are flexible enough. A card that you don't want to play, but sometimes you have to play, is just moving the bar up in high bar position. It may be temporarily more comfortable, but it's not, you know, it's not the best thing. You can do it with the Cool Dude as cool option. You can force feed him cookies while he lives. And you know what's crazy? He just did kind of a generic kind of dumbbell routine before I got a hold of him, and he's already gained, I think, 15 pounds.
Jesus
so when he
Christ.
started, he was 15 pounds down from this.
That's impressive.
Isn't that impressive? Yeah, cross country, man, just don't do it. It'll get you.
No.
it'll fucking get you. Oh, Chase, did I tell you that I started running?
Why?
I don't. Since I've traveled, I haven't been able to go to practice. So I went from like 10 hours of cardio a week to like 0.
Yeah.
So I've done 2 15-minute runs so far.
Yeah.
They are incredibly boring.
Oh, it
Do it
sucks.
through the sketchy neighborhoods where you live now. That'll be a bit more interesting for you.
That's true. Yeah, they'll
And just occasionally scream out help.
Yeah, wear some short shorts. And
Every mile that you
I'm
hit
just gonna wear
stocks.
I'll just wear a few watches, probably, is what I'll wear. I'll just have just a nice watch on each one.
So are you running with like your dog at all?
Well, I've been doing sprints with him whenever we kind of go out in the park or something. That happens all the time. I love sprinting.
Yeah,
Sprinting's very
sprinting's way
fun.
better.
But just like jogging for an amount of time,
Fucking
I was just
day.
doing,
Yeah.
15 minutes. I was like, I'm going to shoot myself in the
It
fucking
sucks.
face. It's just mentally, it's just like, whew,
You just
it is
weak.
boring as hell. Yeah, you know what? Actually, the limiting point, my neck starts to hurt when I'm running.
Really?
Just for the amount of fucking neck injuries I have. Yeah, it's just holding my head as my head's bouncing up and down.
Just make a difference.
All right, we got Nate Mayfield here, doing some very light squats. I think we have 190 on the bar for him. He could easily squat 300 right now. Let's check his other video. I believe is a little bit heavier, and then see if this one is a better representation. All right, so Nate Mayfield, I think we now have 255 on the bar for Big Nate here. Upper back may be an issue, may not be. Let's see what Chase says.
Yeah, for the most part, I think this guy, he has it in a stable enough position, but he doesn't know enough about driving the hips and finishing with it. So what I mean by that is like on that last one, for example, like he actually stayed pretty constant with his back angle, but on these first few ones, he's lifting up his chest a little bit prematurely, right? So with this instance, like what we need to maybe cue him is just maintaining the squeeze or the tightness underneath the bar. So like jam your shoulders up against the bar, pinch the shoulder blades tighter, almost like the setup for the bench, but now with a squat. And then still emphasize that he needs to make the belt come up first, but then the upper back just needs to stay rigid.
Yeah, the back of the belt is a great tactile cue for people who already know how to use a belt, or just kind of give them a reference point, the back of the belt coming up first. These are really fast for him, and I think it's interesting that we see better hip drive as the set goes on. He could easily do this for another like 6 to 8 reps probably. If we had him keep going, you would see more and more hip drive as the set gets deeper. Because it would be replicated if we put another 50 pounds on the bar, or if he just kind of went, another 5 reps deep into the set. Because the set is still moving very fast. When the weight is moving very quickly for people, there's still, 4 or 5 reps in reserve. A lot of times they will pick the chest up just because it's just too easy. When things get heavy, the hips have to come up because the bar needs to stay over the midfoot so much. I think he may be thinking about hip driving out of the bottom, but it's just kind of not enough.
Yeah.
He's probably just being like, all right, I need to go fast. So one thing I've been fucking around with for people is pause squats, but not pausing at the bottom, not pausing in the hole. I'll have them hit the hole, drive their hips up, and then when they bring their hips up like 2 inches, having them pause in that position, right? So they bounce out of the bottom, hips come up, and then freeze there, just so they kind of mentally ingrain where that is, and then they drive through that position. I've noticed that, even just having that be in people's warm up, so it's like, hey, when you hit 185 in your warm up, stop there, do like 2 sets of 5 of these pause squats to work on your hip drive, and then continue going up to 3 or whatever you're doing. Yeah, that's been a big help for me for kind of getting this this hip drive concept to click. Oh, Nick's here. How's it going, Dick? BJJ black belt, Nicholas. How's it going, man? Let's see what else we got going on. Mick, can you pull that PowerPoint back up?
Yeah.
Ooh, amazing. Can you go back to that bullet point?
Is it up?
Now it is. There we go. Okay. Chase, can you kind of explain what is the torso angle versus like the chest position? Because like we're saying lean over, right?
Yep.
Leaning over. We're saying point your nipples at the floor, put your chest down. How does that mix with this upper back position to keeping this tight?
Gotcha.
Because doesn't it seem contradictory? Can you kind of walk me through that?
So like let's imagine this. So like if we had let's say like a beam kind of slanting at it like a telephone pole, like the lines on the telephone pole that kind of keep it erect. That is the angle relative to the floor to like the peak of where like the wire is. So then tying it back to like the lifter, we have the back angle relative to the floor, and we're talking about that with the torso angle, right? With the chest position though, we're talking about thoracic extension. So the rigidityness of like that wire, or how unchangeable can the angle be in forms of like deformity. So like another example is like a fishing rod, right? So like if there's no load on the fishing rod, it's a nice rigid beam. You can affect its angle by just where you orient your hands, right? But then whenever there's a load on it, the further end of like the fishing pole at the tip starts to bend, because that's how it's designed, and it's supposed to be that flexible. But with us, that is not what we want, because that is not a good transmitter of force through the hips, through the back, and into the barbell. So we want the torso angle to be leaned over in a more horizontal position, but the chest position to be more rigid.
Okay, so they can immediately sound contradictory, because it's like push my chest down, but also squeeze my pecs up. That can be a little bit tricky. Yeah, like I like to think about, or the thing I like to tell people, especially if I have them in person, is the lean starts at the hips. When we're telling you to lean over, you're leaning at the hips. When we're leaning over, I'm not doing it like I'm leaning over like a railing or something with my chest. Like let's say if you're leaning over a railing, you're not gonna like hip hinge. You're not gonna do like an RDL and shove your ass backwards. That would be insane. You're gonna like push your chest over the railing to look over. In this situation, the lean is happening around the hip. There's a heavier single on the Reddit that I want to share. Let's see this, because I think this is a pretty good example of what we're talking about here. This is Young Reaganite. This man loves banning automatic weapons, apparently, as a fan of Ronald Reagan. He has really good upper back extension in this one, but some other problems in the squat. So let's see what they are. This is a single, by the way, that's going to replay. What do you think, Chase?
Yeah, so his rigidity isn't changing, right? So what's changing is the angle, because he's shooting his ass back out of the bottom. But his upper back positioning, his lower back, that's all staying tight. So that is actually one solid piece of force transmitting human meat right there, right? But what he's doing though is changing the angle of his torso, because his knee position's all fucked up in the bottom. Like he's sliding into his knees, he's kind of bouncing into them, and now it's causing an effect where out at the bottom, he's shooting his ass back to now redistribute the balance over the midfoot.
Right, so we're saying knees too far forward right now, or at least they're too far forward because they slid there. They didn't start there. Okay, and then instead of, because like what we would like to see, assuming this is on midfoot, is the hips just go straight up.
Yep.
Right, and we can kind of use this upright as a reference point. We don't see his butt past this upright, and then bam, it shoots backwards as he's standing up. Okay. So the knees are collapsing in. That's kind of a smaller thing, but we can see the shins angling in towards each other. And then he's shooting his butt backwards. So he's bouncing into his knees. Well, actually, that's a good question. What would you define as more of the problem, Chase? Bouncing into the knees? Is this a knee slide issue? Or is this an issue of the butt shooting backwards instead of up?
It's more so the knee slide, because now,
Okay.
like going down, he's relatively stable with where his hips are until at the very end he then disappears behind that rod that you were saying, and then into the knees. So like the first quarter of it, it's roughly fine, but then at the very bottom, that's whenever all the knee slide happens.
It's
Yeah, and then it has to
Okay.
recorrect itself right out of the bottom, in order to balance the system. So if he were just to set his knees at the start and hold them there, instead of just continuously let them go forward, this will help establish the back angle a little bit more constantly.
Yeah, this would be would you consider this a good case for Tubo, for the fair terribly useful block of
Oh
wood?
yeah, I would.
Okay. All right, so we have a good Tubo case. And then we also have another, I believe, a Tubo case. This guy is Puzzlehead Park 91. Let's see if this guy, he's just... Oh, look at this. He has a turf rug, a Steelers rug in the house.
Nice.
Do you think he needs the Tubo here, Chase?
Hold on, my connection's all shit.
All right, well, hopefully this is still playing.
All right,
Can
yeah,
you
it's
see if
still
this video
playing.
is still
Yeah,
playing?
it's still playing.
It's still playing.
Okay. Okay. I'll take this one then. Yeah, so this guy seems to be a little bit concerned. I mean, concerned enough to make a Tubo about his knee position being relatively too forward. And what's happening is he's touching the Tubo, which is great,
Mhm.
right? We know the knees are forward enough, but then he's stopping the squat early. What needs to happen here, frankly, is like this guy has pretty long legs. I would just widen the squat up. I would give him another inch or maybe another yard, according to this football rug, another yard on each side, an inch and a half, and then have him shove the knees out really far to help dissipate some of this femur length because he's in the long leg gang. And then just continue to ride it down. This is kind of an issue where people will, if they think they're hitting the bottom because they're really leaned over, they think their face is really close to the ground. They've hit the Tubo, but then they're still squatting high.
Mhm.
Any other cues you would use to help this guy kind of get to depth?
I would rather
Chase?
just move the Tubo more forward because, like you were saying, like yeah, he has pretty damn long femurs and stuff. And then this is a good case too, where like you'll see the back angle changing because of his lack of thoracic extension on a few of those. And what he'll try to do is he'll try to lean over with his upper back in order to feel like he's getting that extra inch of depth, but really he's not moving anywhere.
Yeah, because where the eyes are the frame of reference, and then one thing that you'll notice with people who typically, Mick, these private messages that Mick sends me, absolutely terrible. Can you see these, Chase?
Yeah, on the private chat, yeah.
What's wrong with
Ah,
it?
disgusting.
Dude, that joke was pretty fucking
Disgusting.
nasty, Mick.
Oh my God, man. We only have one more. We have
No,
one
there's
more
a couple.
video
There's
to
a
do.
couple.
No, we already did those from a while
No.
ago.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
why don't you just say that then?
Absolutely.
Instead of getting all
I'm
snippy
saying
with
it
me.
now, Chase. Oh my God, this fucking guy. Yeah. So let's go back to this gentleman's upper back position, or to me, actually, we can keep this on. So we have the upper back position. The frame of reference is the eyes. For people who aren't great at getting to depth, you'll see them punch their head down, and I think they think they're getting closer to depth. What cues do you use to manage head position in the squat, Chase?
Usually it's drawing an object or like an X on a position higher up. You're even putting like a tennis ball underneath someone's chin if I have them in person, but giving them a better frame of reference of where their eyes needs to be. So like look out where, like for that example, like where the wall and the floor met, like in that little seam, that's where I'd probably put his eyes. Just add a little bit further.
Okay, so generally you're screwing with the eye gaze,
Yep.
and then things kind of fall.
I'd never really
there.
cue like
Okay.
the actual head itself, like crank your ears back or anything like that. Like I've never really have done that.
Okay. Yeah. So what I've noticed is that if I tell people to aim their face or something, it works really well on the deadlift. Like the deadlift, people seem to be willing to move their whole head. If someone has really bad upper back positioning in the squat, for example, they'll just kind of keep holding their head really high up, and they'll just look down at it.
Yep.
They just will be reluctant to move their head, or they'll be all the way down here and just pick their eyes up. People, I think, they'll like lock their shoulders into configuration, and they think they just can't move their head because they're just so tight. And it's like, you can just relax, just move your head. Sometimes I'll tell people, it's like, hey, I think you're balancing a teacup on your head. A lot of times if you're seeing a video from those rear 45 degree, you'll see their head just completely disappear. Their head will be like all the way forward. Their head will just be completely gone. So I'll tell people, it's like, I need to be able to see your head from this angle. This is Nicholas Webb here. This guy kind of looks like discount Brent Carter. Can you see this, Mick?
Yeah.
Chase, can you see the?
I don't see
here?
the discount Brent Carter though.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna try to pause and we can see his face.
Yeah.
Can you see? Come on.
I'm not know.
All right. Well, I'll try to pause it when he's
He
walking
needs
away.
tighter
To me,
shorts.
it's.
Oh, I guess at the top though, it looks a bit like him.
All right, hold on. I think he walks away from the bar, and there's a good still frame for it. Okay, Chase.
You know who Andrew
we getting
Lewis
there?
is? He kind of looks like a really skinnier version of Andrew Lewis.
Okay, so we have really skinny Andrew Lewis, or we have. I'm gonna freeze frame this. All right, Chase, say something to the people, please.
Yeah, I'm going with the Andrew Lewis, man. Like I don't see.
You're gonna go with
Carter.
Andrew Lewis?
Yeah, because I don't see like the curly headedness of Brent. Like I don't see his rosy cheeks of Brent. I don't see
Rosy cheeks.
the luscious beard of Brent on this one.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have some good comparison shots here. You may be right, actually. This may be.
I spend too much time looking at Brent at the seminars, man. Like I feel like this
you may
guy
have a better read on this.
Yeah, he doesn't look like him.
All right, well, we're gonna try to find. Damn, you're so correct.
He looks like Andrew Lewis.
All right, He looks like Andrew Lewis. You're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
He absolutely does not look like Brent Carter. All right, everybody, we're gonna.
Yeah. That's it.
I secretly have headshots of every SSC in my room, and I kind of just the ones that I like.
Everybody, now
I
you can
kiss
see
goodnight.
just for
Yes, that's
comparison.
Andrew Lewis.
This is skinnier Andrew Lewis.
Yep.
Right here. You can only deadlift 315. Okay, yeah, you called it, man. You can
Like I
message.
said, man, I have my wall of SSCs, and I kiss goodnight every night.
Is mine do I have a shirt on in my picture, or is it
Well,
is it my
I'll let you
physique photos, or is
I'll let you guess.
all right, we're 52.
Can I send you my headshot as well, Chase, so you can
Sure,
put it
man.
up on it? Yeah. So
Yeah, I'll leave you on my walls of like favorite Jewish
favorite
people.
non and non SSCs.
friends
Yeah, the
of
twink
Israel.
wall.
Yeah, the twink
Yeah.
wall. We could do the twink
Yeah,
wall.
I got a twink wall.
It's like the way it's like the wailing wall. In
Yeah.
Israel,
Yeah,
but it's the
exactly.
twink
Are you
wall.
feeding them gushes to fatten them up a bit?
Yep.
Yeah, that guy needs to gain. It's amazing to think that this guy, I have him now, and he was like, "Yeah, I've gained 15 pounds in the last
That's
2 months," and I'm
insane,
like,
dude.
"How the hell did you do that?"
He just looked at food
Um,
or some shit and gained weight.
Yeah, I'm just not entirely sure what people's life habits are to lead them to being
Yeah, I
like
don't either,
clinically underweight. It's so rare to meet someone who's like clinically underweight,
Yeah.
but for him to be walking around at like 130 at like, 6'1" is crazy.
It's disgusting.
Absolutely. That's why we need to be like Mick. Mick, how tall are you?
5'10"?
Mick, 5'10". What do you weigh? 210?
No, fuck off to it. 210, 180.
About 180? Okay, all right. I'm about 185. Why do we look so different?
I'm keeping all my bulk somewhere else, Alex.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's one of life many's.
Wait, what body
life's many
fat percentage
mysteries.
do you think you are?
I'm bulking a good bit.
Somewhat.
I'd probably say low teens.
Mm,
Low
Like a
teens.
12?
What do you think?
I'm like mid 20s, I'd
13?
say. So that's probably where that's probably
I'd
the
probably
difference
say
is.
13, 14 ish.
You,
13, 14 ish. Yeah, me.
yeah, I'm probably
yeah.
24.
For you,
24, 25.
Okay.
So that's probably where the difference is. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I mean, what can you do except lift much
Yeah,
weights?
exactly.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
just lift weights and do
If only
tea.
there was some- If only there was some way to solve this
Yeah.
problem, Nick. I'm not sure. Ah, man. If only there was an industry of people
I
trying
know,
to help you out,
that's
Mick.
true. If only I knew a bunch of coaches who could help me with this stuff.
Yeah, I remember Mick was like, "Hey, man, can I have some help with some coaching?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're just gonna have to lift a bunch of weights and do a bunch
Well,
of
I am
accessory work. I
doing
don't
that
know what
stuff
the."
now, but the stuff he had me doing was crazy. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, just balance on your ass and put your legs and arms up in the air and hold that position for 30 seconds." I'm not doing that shit.
Oh my god. All right, we got to finish this with something related to the upper back position of the squat. Personally, when I see bad squats, almost I would say 75-80% of the time, the upper back position is also fucked up. If the person has a good upper back position, the squat is almost always correct.
Yep.
Chase, would you agree with that kind of heuristic?
I would agree. Like it's very rarely a guy who, like, kind of like that one guy that was squatting earlier, like I'm thinking like in the yellow shirt, he had proper back extension, but he kind of like overextended. Like it's hardly ever that
Mhm.
problem. But yeah, like what you were saying, like if they are able to transmit the force that they're generating from their hips up into their spine and into the barbell, everything else looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, that is another point here that I don't necessarily touched on. So the back acting as a force transmitter, if we remember a while ago, Chase was talking kind of about the fishing rod as our proxy for back extension. If you're trying to move something or pry something like a crowbar, it's incredibly stiff, right? It doesn't really have a lot of give to it. A fishing rod has a ton of give to it. Like we want to transmit our force, which is coming from our legs, through that very rigid segment. I think whenever old guys tell you about their leg press PR, they're being like, look at how fucking strong my legs are for this quarter squat. You can leg press a ton more than you can squat. Basically, the issue here is that it needs to be transmitted through the back. And then all of this starts and stops with the upper back, I think. Like, have you ever seen someone have lower back issues be the bottleneck on a squat, Chase?
Maybe for like a really petite kid or like or someone who's just like a really big spaz, maybe, but hardly ever.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, they're not
It's
coordinated.
just someone who can't control extension, in other words.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. I think basically like the people who like they are, it almost looks like their belly's kind of moving in and out. They're like not sure what they're doing on the way down.
Yeah.
From balancing. Kind of looks like they're twerking a little bit, unfortunately. That's like it's such an edge case for the lower back to be the issue. Like the deadlift, it's like the lower back is the issue 9 out of 10 times. Yep. The squat, the upper back is the issue 9 out of 10 times. So hopefully this all was helpful. Chase, do you have any parting shots for the people at home?
No, everyone go get your back checked, and hopefully that you're all squatting correctly now.
Go to a chiropractor. Have them break your neck, sue them to get money.
Exactly.
Use the money to get testosterone. Start bodybuilding. I think that's the plan.
Can we make our own line of gushers with just like little shots of protein or?
Dude, yeah, pre-workout gushers. I'm down.
Pre-workout gushers. Yeah, you'll have a caffeine suspended solution in the middle of the gusher, and then just carbs on the outside. There has to be pre-workout candies. Let's look this up.
I'm sure
now.
there is.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's probably.
Well, I mean,
probably the same company.
Think about it. Like you can probably make like a C4 sucker. I bet. Like like you just like make the solution. Ooh. Yeah, dude, it'd be rough, but I bet some motherfuckers done it.
Okay, Chase, it seems like we're really behind the 8 ball here.
What is that?
We're
that's
very
not,
behind.
That's
the
not
8 ball.
candy though.
When I look up pre-workout candy, we're at
that's protein powder.
180.
No, that's protein powder.
That's just protein.
Pre-workout performance booster. Look at this. No, it's not.
But that's powder form. That's not a candy.
It's not.
Oh, it says sour peach candy. Increased muscle pump. I'm sold.
200 grams for $20. All right, what is this going to do for me? 2 grams of carbohydrates, sour gummy, increases muscle pump, raises mental focus. Amazing. Yeah. All right, Chase, never mind. Our idea has already been taken by time. Seems like people have figured this out years ago.
Well, I got another idea. We can do an anal suppository, but I want either Mick to try it or someone else.
Only if you put it in for me, Chase.
You could do.
That's probably the only reason you get me over to the States at the moment.
I feel like caffeine. That it's very possible caffeine gets absorbed too well that way.
Oh, I bet it does. I bet it fucks you up bad.
I'll have to. We'll do some research on that, and that can be the next.
That'll be the next pod
show.
show.
We are,
Okay.
we are running out of topics. So it
Yeah.
seems to be. That'll probably be our highest.
It
That'll
could
be our
be.
highest viewership if you actually schedule that one 24 hours in advance.
Yeah, it could be, man. And then the next one will be in between 7 to 30 days from
Yeah.
now. Hopefully 7
Yeah.
days. All right, Mick, do you have anything else you want to say to
No.
other people?